Thank you so much. Nice to see all of you. And now today we are in the 8th chapter of Bodhicaryavatara, which is on meditation. And here it says in Tibetan, on the 4th stanza, Shene rabdo dembe lantongki nyamu number jamba shishini tomar shene tsasha ten jiten chapa mela ngyogindu. Meditation of vipassana, insight meditation, together with shamatha, a strong shamatha, or calm abiding meditation, can completely eliminate our kleshas. And knowing that, first we have to search or find a shamatha meditation. And the last line is that shamatha meditation can be accomplished by somebody who is happy to let go of attachments to the world, worldly things. So here in this chapter, it discusses quite elaborately, how not to be too much attached to the to the worldly things, to anything actually, not too much attached to yourself, your body, to the people around you, to your wealth and possessions and anything, because if we are too much attached to things, then our mind never can settle down properly. Attachment will bring in worries, bring in aversion, bring in stress, so all the kind of distractions and disturbances of our mind will happen because we are too much attached to things. And also lots of aversion comes because of attachment. So therefore, to try to reduce attachment is one of the most important, what can you say, methods or conditions to bring a real good shamatha meditation. Here in the chapter, they don't give a very specific meditation technique on shamatha meditation. I think because this is something that you learn from practically from your teachers and from whoever you are learning to meditate. But here is lots of arguments and lots of thought is given to why we should not be so much attached to things. And this is, I think, very important because we are all very much attached to things, and sometimes we think that's a very good thing, that brings happiness, that brings we sometimes also think that attachment is compassion or or kindness, but when we look deeply, the attachment causes lots of mental, emotional, and then also later on, physical sufferings and pain and problems. So he's kind of trying to make us understand that we can be very kind, very loving, very tender, very friendly, and very supportive to everybody without becoming attached. Because if you are attached to something, then that necessarily brings problems, because there is nothing which remains remains the same. So whatever we are attached to, it is going to change. It's going to go away. It's going to, we are going to be separated from that. And therefore, we all know that. And so therefore, we have lots of worries and we have lots of tensions about that. And also, when that happens, then the more attached we are, the more unhappy we become, the more devastated we become. And there is nothing we can hold on to anyway. So therefore, including our own body, and including anything actually, so therefore we need to understand this right from the beginning, and actually this kind of understanding that there's nothing that I can really own something, or I can really hold on to anything, or if that is very, very clear to me, then I would not go into lots of difficulties and lots of hardship and lots of negative deeds, to try to keep something that I'm attached to, or try to run after something that I'm attached to, or something that and so therefore I can be in peace, I can be less worried, because however worried you are, it's not going to change anything. So there is much better chance that we become less distracted and more calm and more more peaceful. And so if this we can understand, and we can then whether we are in the solitude place, a retreat place, in the jungles, in the because there are lots of kind of suggestions there that it would be very good in a place where there is lots of nature, there's lots of solitude, there's less disturbance and things like that. Yes, those might help also, but the main thing is that you are not so much attached to things, because if you are attached, then whether you are far from those that you are attached or near, doesn't make too much difference. You will be, your mind will be distracted anyway. So this is, there are quite a long discussion about this in the book. So once you have a little bit understood this and we are prepared with this kind of thing, then we start to meditate. And as I think maybe I also should not say too much about the samatha meditation, because as most of you I think know and have done lots of meditation, so there are lots of instructions, on different instructions on how to do the samatha meditation. But basically it's allowing your body and your mind to relax, and your mind kind of fresh and clear, but not not holding on too much on anything. To start with, sometimes we can have an object of meditation, so that we can come back to that object when we are distracted. And it is also said that it's not that we have to feel very bad or we have to feel guilty when we are distracted. It's natural that we are distracted, but we just keep on coming back, very relaxed, but slight awareness of that object. That object could be something that like our own body, or feeling, or mind, or anything, and many times the object is also could be our own breath, because this is something that happens naturally and we cannot do without breathing. So to kind of, and also it's always moving, so it's not static, so we can focus on our breathing. There are many different instructions on how to do that. It doesn't matter too much, I think, to begin with. If we are very distracted, then we just count our breathing, to breathe out and breathe in and count as 1 and maybe up to 7, and then if little better, then we count out to 21. If we can do that, that's also quite good, because usually we will find, as you all might know, it is not easy to be even totally present on something even as long as like 21 breathings or even 7 breathings. So we are a little bit focused, but at the same time very relaxed. And then there are also many other like focusing on an object, like just a piece of a twig, or a piece of what you call it, wood or a stone, or something like that in front of me, just focusing on that, or something that is imagined, like image of enlightened being like a Buddha. This is the Vajrayana visualizations. Almost all of these visualizations are basically shamatha meditation. That we visualize a Buddha or Amitabha or Shenrizik, Avalokiteshvara, Tara, whatever, or sometimes a letter or a mantra, things like that. It's all, same. It's all shamatha meditation. In these kind of shamatha meditations, then it is a little bit, another skillful means to work on our habitual tendencies. Like if we see a Buddha, or if we think of an enlightened being in front of us, then when your mind is totally focused on an enlightened person, then your mind is kind of occupied not only by that figure but also by that feeling of enlightened experience or enlightened being. So not only you are doing shamatha, but you are also making your mind to train to feel the positive qualities of an enlightened being. So therefore this is kind of said to be a little bit skillful means to work on our habitual tendencies. But and then there is also shamatha meditations with no object, without any reference. Just allow your mind to be completely, peaceful, just peacefully aware, and relax in that, and that is also regarded a very important and very actually profound kind of shamatha. You don't think about, your mind is not occupied with anything of the past or future, or not even holding on to any present moment, anything, any thoughts, any arisings, let it come and go, and not so just free from any. So and whichever kind of meditations of shamatha you want to do, you can do it, and you can change it also, and you can in one session you can do one, and next session another method, or even during one session you can change different methods. This is what is already said in the text, in the sutras and things like that. So there is it's almost completely our own choice. It's not that you have to do this because this is the tradition, or this is first you have to do this only and then you can do that. I think it's not really anything like that. Then after that, then Shantideva moves to the meditation of what we call as the relative bodhicitta. He doesn't discuss the vipassana meditation here in this chapter too much, because that's the 9th chapter. 9th chapter is on understanding and experiencing discussions on the emptiness and interdependence and selflessness and selfness of the self and selfness of the, and also this for mindfulness and things like that. So therefore he doesn't discuss this in this chapter. He discusses the meditation on bodhicitta, or on what we call the relative bodhicitta, because the ultimate bodhicitta is that wisdom. So relative bodhicitta, the compassion. Now here, first meditation, or understanding and become familiar with the because the bodhicitta, first we have to understand the the kindness and compassion, and that can happen only if you see the sufferings and pain and problem of other people. And in order to do that, you have to find that you and the other people are very similar. We are in the same boat. We are of the same kind. Everybody wishes to be free from all kind of suffering, pain, problem. Everybody wishes to be, we have all kind of happiness, joy, well-being, the best. There is no difference with anybody, any kind of beings with me that is like that. So therefore, then when I feel that what I am, what I want, what I don't want, and what everybody else wishes and wants and is exactly the same, then you start to understand that everybody is like you. So this is what we call the similarity or equalness of yourself and others. So you try to understand people, you try to feel people, you try to be, you understand, and this kind of letting us sink in, that what I feel and what I want and what I don't want, and is exactly the same as everybody else. So I want to be, treated with respect. I want to be treated with kindness. I want to be, treated, and so everybody wants that. And nobody wants to be harmed, nobody wants to be hurt, nobody wants to be, treated unkindly and things like that. So it's same everybody. So I should do the same with everybody. This, when that becomes more clear, more, more strong, then I'm meditating on the equalness of myself and others. Then this will slowly lead to that what we call in the Bodhisattva's practice, exchanging myself with the others. That is that, I not only understand and feel everybody's problems and difficulties and what they want, and I should do the same that I want to be treated towards others. But then if I slowly find out that actually, the main cause of my own suffering and pain and negative karma and all these negative actions and being in the samsaric state of mind and all kind of kleshas and all these things arising is because I have too much, too much attachment to myself. Too much like, I want this, I don't want this, and because of this, my aversion, my attachment, my jealousy, all these holding on too much to me, is the cause of all the sufferings and pain and problems for myself. So when I see this very clearly, then that's not the way. If I want to be really, free, I want to be transformed, I want to be in a kind of more liberated state of mind, if I really want to transform myself in such a way that I have a lasting peace and happiness, I need to change this way of being. So if I have to do that, then instead of I want this, I have to say, all good things, I want it to everybody. And so therefore, instead of only me, we should I should try to think about everybody that should have it, but not necessarily only me, and not too much stuck with I want this, I want that. So when that understanding becomes stronger, then I can actually start to exchange, or I should think more about the other people's welfare and other people's well-being than my own. And we, if we go a little bit more clear about this, then it is said that jite dewa chene but taken yenden relation jite dungal chen, to understand that all the sufferings that I have, all the sufferings and problems I have, it's because I wish something good, I wish something that. And if all the positive karma and all the wisdom and all good things happen, that is, I wish it for everybody. I wish good things for everybody. So when this understanding becomes more strong and more clear, then my kind of attitude has to change, and that what I can do for everybody, instead of what I can do for myself. And so therefore, that is exchanging myself with others. It's not that I don't care for myself. Actually, if I care for myself, it's better that I be less selfish, less self-centered, and more kind and more compassionate. That's not only good for me, but good for everybody, and especially good for myself. So therefore, then there are lots of instruction giving on how to work on this. How to bring this kind of attitude, because this is a most rare attitude in the samsara. In the samsara, everybody says what I can get for myself, how bad, and not about others. I would do anything to get what I want towards others, including harming them, including hurting them, including anything. Now, how can I reverse this? That in order to help and in order to bring happiness and joy and free other people's sufferings, what I can give, from myself. There's nothing that I need to keep for myself or hold on to myself. And when that understanding, then to kind of train on this, there are lots of, understandings and ways of thinking, and is suggested here, and is also sometimes there is also this kind of how to look at others exchange myself with other people. Sometimes I become somebody, somebody else who is lower than myself, who is in a worse condition than myself, and then look at me, look at my present position with some kind of jealousy, and they see how other people feel against me, and how so sometimes this is the three things, with the jealousy, with the competition, with the pride. Sometimes you become somebody who is much worse condition than yourself, and look at you or yourself with jealousy. Sometimes you become somebody who is equal to you and look at you with competitive state of mind. Sometimes you become somebody who is much higher than you and look down on you with pride, and then see how how they feel and how you feel, and how what kind of negative feelings it creates, and it's totally useless, totally unnecessary, totally so therefore so this way, slowly these are all these lojong. Many of you have come across many lojong, many mind training practices, including the 7-point mind training. The 7-point mind training actually comes out of this book, Bodhicaryavatara, and from this chapter also. So therefore, all these things are. This is discussed in this book, much more kind of intellectually, you can say, with more reasoning, and I think I said this before also, but this book is regarded very special because it's not just instructions, not just like Buddha said this, you have to do this, you have to do this. It's all about reasoning, why we should do it like this, why we should think like this, all these things. So anyway, those kind of things. So therefore, so this, is actually a very, very important and very strong and elaborate instruction on how to train our mind in compassion, meditation on compassion. Actually, the most, or the largest part of this chapter, and it is one of the longest chapters, I think, in the book, is on how to generate compassion and how to, do this kind of practices, exchanging, equal with people and things like that. Now, exchanging, in the lojong, you have this meditation technique of breathing in all the kind of negative things of other people, and then giving them all your. This is not specifically mentioned in this, but this is all these meditations are coming from this chapter and this understanding and things like that. So I think better, I think we have discussed it a little bit. So it's a long chapter, so I cannot go through too much because it is a very long chapter. But I think you can read them, and there's commentaries also. And as you know, I've been going through this chapter for I don't know, months together in another place. So thank you very much. I will stop here and then open it for discussion. Any questions are most welcome. Thank you.
If you have some questions, please enter them into the chat box. And if there are any already there, if the Society could let me have them in the chat box. I'll put them to Rinpoche.
Okay, well, there is one here,
Good.
which I can see in the chat box. I'm just wondering why you haven't.
I've got one now, which is saying,
Yeah,
is this the one you can see where it's saying, could you please speak about verse 54 a bit? I'll have a quick look, see what verse 54 looks like in English in our translation. And it says, but it's the skin and flesh I love to touch and look upon. Then why do you not wish for flesh alone, inanimate and in its natural state?
there is a question which is maybe much more direct, which is here. We better get it over with, because I think you'll get the other one sooner or later. It says, are friendships and loved ones unhealthy forms of attachment that should be discounted? This is something people tend to think.
No, I think it's not that. That's why I actually mentioned already in a way. The love and attachment are different, and love is, as we discussed, same as compassion. You're understanding what this people or this person wants and doesn't want, and you try to give them what they, what brings them more, happiness, more well-being, and try to, give them less or no causes of pain, problems, suffering, and things like that. That is compassion, and that's love, and in the good sense of love. Now, attachment is not about them, but about me. So I want them. I want to, I want this person to be like this person to act like this. I want them to love me, and and this kind of attachment is, is very, very conditional. That at any time, the attachment can turn into hatred. I want love from you. I want this or that from you, and if you give me that, I like it. I love you. If you don't give me that, I don't love you. I hate you. So any love that can turn into hatred is not true loving kindness or love, but attachment. And that is very much to do with attachment, because it's me. Me is the center of it. Me is the center focus of it. I want this, I want that is the center focus, not what they want or what they don't want. So therefore, we should have friends. We should actually make everybody as our friends, This is the idea, like a Bodhisattva, sometimes it says the unacquainted friend. Whether you know somebody or whether you don't know somebody, whether somebody is nice and kind to you or not, whether somebody is near you or not, you are friendly to them. You have good wish to them. And of course, those who are near you, those who are close to you, those who are, like your friends, your family members, and then even more so. Yeah? But at the same time, when you have to love your dear and near ones, but not, like sometimes, I've read stories, I don't know whether it's true or not. There's a story about somebody loved somebody so much that he couldn't let anybody see this person. So he kind of imprisoned these people, didn't allow anybody to go out. And at the end, he killed that person and just, kept the dead body of that person because he was so attached to that person. So the attachment can be so attached, so I don't know what the word is, so kind of infuriated sometimes that it can be even that go that far. So then all kind of jealousies, all kind of, different problems can come up. But if your love only, then those kind of things doesn't come, and you don't try to control that person too much. You don't try to, whatever that person does or wish to do, you just wish, well to that person, and that your love never changes to hatred or anything. That's the idea, So a love that is most, you can say permanent if you like, or unchanging, can be that when you have love but not too much attachment. Of course, this is also very, very important to know that we as very samsaric people, we have samsaric state of mind at the moment, so we have lots of attachment, lots of aversion, lots of ignorance, so therefore it is also very clear that we cannot be completely without any attachment. So therefore we have to understand, we don't have to think that my love is totally useless because I have also attachment. Of course, as a samsaric being, we have attachment also. But what I think we have to do is to have more love, a little bit less attachment. And the lesser the attachment and more the love, I think there will be less problem also, in the relationship.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. There are two kind of related questions have come up next about the method that Shantideva teaches there in terms of exchanging self for others. And one is a good question in the sense that it's saying, when I exchange places with others, we always tend to superimpose our views about the other persons, and does this make our practice less effective? But of course, in the instruction itself, which the second question is realizing, is it's not just a matter of exchanging self for other, but taking the place of a person who's feeling negative emotions towards us. And so they were asking, what should we understand from that? So,
yeah, that is the sometimes we feel that if somebody is not very kind to me or have some jealous about me or proud or some kind of a competitive state of mind, then we feel very bad. We feel very bad, and we feel like how can that be? Why somebody doesn't like me? How can anybody have this negative feeling? But this is something which is if you can put yourself in that person's shoes or in that person's being, then you understand more clearly, why it's like that, And then when you understand it more clearly and more fully, then, instead of feeling negative, feeling what can you say, feeling kind of aversion or, unhappy or, even angry about that, you fully understand, and actually you become more compassionate and more kind, because you really understand why this person feels like that and thinks like that, so that maybe there you can do something to change your kind of behavior or attitude towards that person, or even if that doesn't help, but actually you can understand more clearly, so therefore you don't have to feel, so this is the idea. That's why these three things, the exercising, kind of yourself, kind of going into the, you can say, body of or skin of other people, who some are much, less positive situation than yourself. Some people equal to yourself, some people, better situation than yourself, and then, what they would feel and how they would, experience what you are doing or what you are thinking, how you are, and things like that. So this is a kind of exercise to, to learn about other people more clearly, and how you need to, understand and experience that.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. There's a very great clarity in the approach there. There's a question that comes out that's sort of related that pops up next, which is, could you offer some advice on those who feel a lot of self-loathing or self-hate? There's a feeling that from the questioner that a lot of Westerners suffer this problem rather than an excess of self-cherishing. So they're asking for advice you may have for people that already feel too much self-loathing or self-hate.
Yes, I was very shocked when I first heard this kind of comments or questions from other people. Some people say, I hate myself, I don't like myself. I said, how is it possible you don't like yourself? If I don't, I never had this feeling myself, actually. And I didn't think it was possible that you don't like yourself. Anyway, so lots of people have that, it seems, and I was thinking a lot, what can be the problem? Because, I'm not sure, I don't really know, but, nobody in the East told me that I hate myself, there's something, and I kind of, I have a thought, I don't know whether I'm correct or not, but, there are lots of people in the West, in the West you have democracy, you have lots of freedom, and you have lots of opportunities, you have kind of equal, more or less equal opportunities, and then, this is I think sometimes seen as we are all equal. So therefore, I expect a lot from myself. I must be equal. My beauty has to be equal to the most beautiful one. My talent should be equal to the most talented one. My success should be equal to most successful one, and everything equal to the best. And then you find that you are not like that. You feel very bad about it, and you say, how can this be? Why I'm so bad? I don't like this. I don't want this. It's terrible. How bad I am. I think this probably is coming from that attitude, that you are in a way expecting too much from yourself, in a way, and so therefore, and you don't realize that this is coming from that kind of culture or education, that you are equal to everybody. Of course, you have lots of equal opportunities, but that doesn't mean that you are all equal. Nobody is totally equal. Everybody is different. Everybody has different situations, circumstances, and things like that. So, and I think it is important to understand that what I am, the way I am, is the way I am. I'm not the best in anything. I'm not the worst in anything. I have my own positive qualities or positive things and positive situations, and I have my not so good ones also, and things like that. So I am what I am. So therefore, it doesn't mean that I cannot improve, I cannot change, I cannot transform. I should do it, and I have to do it, I have to work on it, but I don't have to be totally unhappy and feel that I'm totally useless because I'm not as beautiful or as talented or as successful as somebody else. So when we can think like that, I think that would maybe slowly change the situation. There was some time ago, a year or two ago, I was coming from somewhere, and I was in in Delhi airport, and then there was a Tibetan girl who also arrived there from another flight together, and then she had to wait also, and I had to wait also for some other flights. And then we started to think, and we discussed, and she was working somewhere in America. And then she was saying that, her colleague, some of her colleagues were very unhappy when, this, the American girl, Megan, married the prince, English prince. And they were saying, oh, I'm so unhappy, I'm so angry, I'm so upset. Her colleague said, he says, why? Because this, this girl, she is not even beautiful, she's not even, she married the princess, a prince, and how can that be? And then she was kind of, it was surprise to her, and she said, "Whoa, well, what's wrong with that? That she married the prince, and why you should be unhappy? Because you have so many good things, and you have so many positive things. Why you should be so upset because she did that? Sometimes it is a little bit like that. I think that we, so therefore, I think the important thing is, I think it's not really that I don't love myself. Actually, in a way, I expect too much from myself, and therefore, I feel like that, But this is a big problem, and so needs to be actually a little bit changed, and. I think we need to accept what we are, at this moment, because, we are here, we are in this situation, because of so many causes and conditions, which, is already done. It's nothing we can do, because the way I am, the way everybody is the way they are. It's, created by all the causes and conditions that happened. So it's no use, wishing something else, or but it is possible to change that. It is always possible to change, Sometimes it is more difficult, sometimes it's less difficult, but if you work on it, it will certainly happen. So I think that is more important. And instead of, looking down on myself, instead of, kind of loathing myself, and then do something to, whatever you don't like about yourself, try to change that, try to improve on that. I think that's the way. Sometimes, as we already discussed in the chapter on, I think, patience, was it? Or not on patience. Chapter on diligence, that you said that I cannot do it, or, you look down on yourself, is one of the laziness, is described in the Buddhist terms. So it's a little bit like, I cannot do anything, I'm like this, I'm so bad. That's in a way, it's a kind of laziness that I don't want to. I have no kind of. I think it's also, of course, some wisdom is, I think, necessary there to think that yes, I can change, I can transform, I can. It may take time, it may take efforts, but I can change. I think this is important.
Thank you very much for a really liberating perspective and very helpful advice for a problem that I think sort of beleaguers many in the West. So thank you for that. We're moving on a little bit. There's a question saying, when at the outset you were talking about shamatha and vipassana practice totally eliminating the kleshas, could you speak a little more about that process?
From Buddhist point of view, the kleshas is the the main problem. The klesha is the main problem. Klesha and karma, that's what Buddha said. Klesha and karma is the main causes of suffering. And karma or negative karma is created by kleshas. If you act or react, or if the kleshas become very strong, then you do negative actions and negative karma is created. And that is, so therefore, working on the kleshas is practice of Dharma. The practice of Dharma in essence is working on your kleshas and transforming them, getting rid of them. That is the main practice. Any practice, any means, any methods you do on that, there are different approaches, different methods, and things like that. But that's the thing. Now, how do you, of course, there are slightly different methods and step-by-step things. But in order to do that, then basically the shamatha meditation is very important, because shamatha meditation is to calm down your mind. It's to make your mind more calm. And when your mind becomes calmer, more peaceful, means that you are not completely taken over, or the kleshas do not completely control your mind. That the shamatha meditation can help. The more peaceful, more clear your mind becomes, you realize when a certain kind of, whether it's too much aversion or too much attachment or jealousy or, arrogance or any kind of, greed, or you understand that, and then you can work on it and things like that. But shamatha meditation cannot uproot the kleshas. because as long as you have this, you don't understand the true nature of yourself and the phenomena, then, as long as you have this strong kind of sense or feeling of this, I am this, all these things are there, and all this, phenomena is there, then, you have duality feeling. And once you have the duality, you will always have aversion and attachment, because this is nice, this is not nice, I like this, I don't want this, and things like that. So therefore, vipassana is understanding, training, and experience that, I fully understand what I am, or what I am not, and therefore what the whole, whole universe or whole phenomena is, and how they exist, and that they exist not independently, but interdependently. Everything, including me, everything interdependently existing, and therefore they are very like, there is no truth, a true existence in a way. It's like only relatively existing. So therefore, the whole universe is more like, like a dream. So therefore, when you have this understanding, experience very strong and very clear, then there is no need of any kleshas, because who is there to have aversion to what? Who is there to have attachment to what? So therefore, when you have this really clear experience, everything is there, and everything can be there, and everything is very, very vivid. Anything can arise, anything can happen, anything can change, anything can, but you don't need to be acting or reacting with aversion, attachment, and all kind of this ignorant klesha way. So when that happens, then then there is absolutely no need to react with, klesha. So then the klesha, because the kleshas are based on, a wrong way of saying things. And when that wrong way of saying things is changed, then there is no need of any klesha. But of course, it takes time to get rid of the habitual tendencies. So therefore, we need lots of practice, and but that's the idea. That's why it is said like this.
Thank you very much, Rinpoche. It's 13:10. Have you time for one more?
Yes, of course.
Okay, if you have one more question, I can actually, some of the other questions sort of all point in this direction, so it might be helpful. And I think it's a point of interpretation, is when Shantideva is talking and addressing in quite stern terms, dealing with attachment to the body. And then again, further on, when he's talking about controlling the mind, there's one chapter here where he sort of said, when with the antidotes, and if these fail, well then apply the lash. And many people looking at this seem to interpret this as if he's advocating some sort of punishment. And I feel that that's probably not quite what Shantideva is saying. So any comments or advice you have on the interpretation of verses like that, be very welcome.
I think it is, it's first it's understanding. Understanding is very important. That you can't you can't say that, you should not do this, you should not do this, you should not do this only because, that would not work. So you should understand why I should not do like this, why I should do like this. And because, if I react like this, if I think like this, if I, act like this, and in a negative way, it's going to, create pain and problem and difficulties for myself and others, and for now in the long run. So therefore, I should not do this. I should, this has to become very, very clear. And then, when that becomes very clear, then I have, I have to be, I have no doubt that this is what I have to train. But it doesn't mean that, I know, but I always don't do what is right for me. Yeah, like, even when I am sick, and then doctor tells me, don't eat too much this, or don't take too much of that. But I am so used to taking those things, and I'm a little bit, addicted to something, and then, I don't want to listen to the doctor, but, even secretly would like to take that. Yeah. So when this kind of thing happens, then I have to be, what he's saying is, I have to be a little bit strict about myself, some little more discipline, like apply the discipline, a chapter on that, that I have to guard myself, a little bit more mindful, more alert, more determined, and, more, more committed, because I don't want that result that, would happen if I did those things. So he's kind of, there are, great masters who said that, whatever happens, I will not do this, or, things like that, like Buddha also, before he became enlightened, it is said that he sat under the Bodhi tree, and then he said that, whatever happens, even my body dissolves here and everything, I will not stand up from this seat, until I become totally enlightened. And things like that, the determination is something very important. No? If you don't have determination, if you don't make a clear-cut decision and commitment, then it is difficult to get anything or to really accomplish something. So therefore, I think he's talking about that you have to have some kind of determination, some kind of commitment. And once you have that commitment and determination, then, it will happen. If you have a little bit, maybe I should do this, maybe I should not do this. If it is too difficult, then I will go away and not do this. Then you cannot do it. It's a little bit like that.
Very, very, very much, Rinpoche, especially for that kind of last, much wisdom and balance there in the interpretation of the translations of Shantideva. Anyway, much look forward to seeing you, not next week, but the week after. I think that's Thursday the 17th, when we meet again to talk on the wisdom chapter.
Thank you.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Very happy to see all of you, and look forward to see you all next time. Until then, keep well and happy. Thank you.